When it comes to your health, it would be ridiculous to think that your general practitioner would handle all your medical concerns. For your heart, you're going to go to cardiology. If you have problems with arthritis, you're going to see a rheumatologist. And when you break a bone, you're going to see an orthopedic surgeon. When it comes to your fitness, why not do the same thing? When two heads are better than one, today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast
with Garrett Williamson.
Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. This is Garrett Williamson, president of Personal Edge Fitness. You know, you may not know this, but I'm a twin. Well, I'm not an identical twin. There's not an exact replica of me walking around on the face of the earth. I think that would be rather scary even for me. I have a lovely twin sister by the name of Shannon. We're a minute apart, and I celebrate being a twin. I've always enjoyed it. Of course, I know no different. I have an older brother I think the world of. He is my hero, but I've always appreciated being a twin. And I've always had interesting conversations with other people that are twins. My sister and I grew up, now she's far younger than me, absolutely. But we grew up in the 70s, 80s. And during the 80s, there was a cartoon. It was called, I don't know what it was associated with. It may have been associated with like the Marvel comics. And it was the Wonder Twins. And I remember the chant that they would do, or when they would have to go into action. And it would be Wonder Twin powers activate. And I remember one of them would say, you know, take the form of I think it was like an animal or something. The other one I'll take the shape of, and it was some inanimate object, shape of a wave. But what was interesting about that, and please don't correct me on that, because my memory of that is very limited, and I'm sure there's some aficionados as far as cartoons are concerned out there that could school me in the information about the Wonder Twins. But what was always fascinating to me was the fact that, fascinating, I always stuck with me, let's put it that way, always rung in my struck a chord in my mind, was that in order to solve the problem, it took both of them. It took a different approach, and it took the two of them to actually solve the problem. I thought there was something that stuck with me. And being a twin, of course, the whole Wonder Twins thing rang in my mind and stayed with me for years. But the reason I bring that up is that that thought process did resonate with me, about the fact that it takes sometimes it takes more than one to actually solve a problem or handle a situation. I experienced a lot of that when I was starting out personal training. And what I mean by that is that, of course, I tried to learn everything I possibly could know about the body, about fitness, about strength, about different exercises, and definitely anatomy and physiology. Receiving a bachelor's degree in exercise science, and then continuing on to get a master's degree in fitness management. Of course, I studied all those different entities, all those different facets, everything from, hours upon hours of anatomy, hours upon hours of physiology, studying the movement of the body, studying what muscles did what. And then when I had the chance to either work out myself or start training, and especially when I did my mentorships, my two mentorships, one of them in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and one of them in Dallas, Texas, I actually put those things into practice and started investigating what exercises, of course, work those muscles, take the anatomy through the range of motion to produce the results that we want. And of course, that's exercise science. And as much as I studied, I did realize something. Even though I had an experience with a variety of clients, and in fact, one example I love using is my first opportunity to work with seniors came in 1993 at St. John's Health Facility, the Siegfried Health Facility at the St. John's Hospital in Tulsa, where I got to conduct a senior circuit training class, and that was my first experience with seniors. And so I started doing a lot of research on working with people that had osteopenia, osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, people that had been through cardiac rehab or had heart events, people that had strokes. This was all new to me, and I started learning that because I knew so much about working with a younger demographic that I hadn't really investigated that area. And so I was trying to learn as much as I could about every single body type out there, every single demographic that you can possibly imagine. When the first time I encountered working with a handicapped client, of course, I researched that particular handicap, which has led us to, teaching 3 people to walk again here at Personal Edge Fitness. But what I realized, and going back to the whole Wonder Twin Powers Activate, is that no matter what I learned, no matter how much experience I had, it would be foolish for me or anyone to believe that they are the end-all, be-all, and cure-all as far as personal trainers are concerned. I don't like to say never, I don't like to say can't, but I find it difficult, rather challenging, for one person to know everything. When I began training, of course, I had to know as much as I possibly could. I was trying to get as many clients as I could, and so I had to really expand my knowledge base so that I could cover pretty much anybody that came to me, no matter their goals, no matter what they were after. That's when I started learning the benefits of, wait a second, maybe we ought to look at this a different way. In our industry, especially in personal training, we find a lot of ego. I mean, come on, let's face it. I'm sure you've probably run into this in several facets, several careers, about how many egos are out there. But I have to say, in our business, there's a hefty amount. I think it deals with the mentality going back to like grade school. Who can run the fastest? Who can lift the most? Who can what have you? And I think that when a few trainers get together, it can become sort of a competition. Hopefully, that doesn't exist as much as it did over 20 years ago when I actually worked in other facilities. But there's always a bit of that there, and I still see it when we interview new trainers that have had experiences working elsewhere. But I noticed that a lot when I first started training. In the first personal training facility that I worked in, there was an overabundance of that rather toxic situation, toxic culture. A competitiveness and not wanting to share ideas and one person trying to prove that they knew more than the other. I'm so glad I had that experience because that, along with all the experiences I had, helped me set up and develop the culture which we carry here at Personal Edge. And one thing I knew that we weren't going to do is we just weren't going to have that competitiveness of I know more than you, or the competitiveness of people trying to steal clients, quote unquote. Stabbing each other in the back. It's just a real toxic culture and not beneficial to two things. One, most importantly, to the client, but secondly, to the business. And then lastly, of course, to the trainer themselves. So what we sought out when we opened a Personal Edge Fitness, the first thing, there was going to be a rule. We weren't going to have that. We just weren't going to have the competition. There was going to be no stabbing in the back. There was going to be no undercutting, no trainers trying to upstage another trainer. We just weren't going to have that. So much so that we actually have a policy here at Personal Edge that if a trainer is causing disharmony amongst the other trainers, that trainer will be asked to leave. Now, I'm very, very pleased that in 21 years now, and over 40 trainers having worked at Personal Edge Fitness, we've only had an occasion to ask a trainer to leave under such circumstances 3 times. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that I think that speaks to our hiring process and also speaks to my incredible team. But that's how important it was to me because I'd lived through that kind of a toxic environment. But what we realized is that we talked a lot. When we first opened Personal Edge Fitness, we would set up with trainers. We were known for many firsts. A first in the area of having a full-time position for personal trainers and independent contractors, that they could do this full-time and not even own the facility. And that was the first here in this area. We also were the first to offer a full-time salary for an employee that was a personal trainer that actually did personal training. And so we're proud of that. But one of the other things that we started working on as a team, we realized that we talked a lot amongst the staff about challenges that we were seeing with clients. In other words, if a client was having a certain difficulty, it would not be unheard of. In fact, it was pretty commonplace that trainers would get together and discuss, okay, how can we help this client? Now, this client would be the client of one of our staff members. And that staff member would willingly go to another staff member that they knew maybe had some expertise in that particular area. Maybe it was a back situation. They went to somebody that had a lot of experience working with backs. Or maybe it was just the fact that they're going to another professional that, hey, I want your opinion. Put your head on this. And we did that almost daily. We were blessed with the fact that we had no ego. So nobody felt like they were in competition with another trainer and the other trainer would be trying to steal their client or whatever. We just didn't have that. These were open discussions. So much so that there were many times when a trainer would be working with a client and say, look, I can teach you this particular lift. I know it really well, but you know what? This happens to be a passion of this other trainer. And they would actually have that trainer come over and show the client that particular exercise. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that we always had that policy. But something we started just a few years ago, which we are very proud that we are the first facility to do this. Every client that we sign actually sign with a couple of different staff members, not just one. And we've developed a system where we can utilize the strengths of each staff member with every client. This may be a bit foreign to you, especially if you've done personal training, because in personal training, it's largely about the relationship. I mean, the success really it starts with a good relationship between the client and the trainer. I'm well aware of this. I found that out in a very powerful way. Let's put it that way. One that made a incredibly lasting impression on me, and one that I will carry with me always, and it does shape a lot of how I run Personal Edge. And how my team, my directors, actually conduct ourselves with other trainers and clients here at Personal Edge. I was asked to leave a facility and thrown out in the middle of the night, actually, after the owner had a disagreement with one of my clients, and I actually sided with my client. I was, actually, September 7th, 1999, actually asked to leave the facility. I laugh about it because I thought it was the worst day of my life. It turned out to be one of the greatest days of my life. But I left with 42 clients. When I really learned about relationships and how important it was about relationship, I went from that facility to 4 days later, I opened up in another facility that was clean and nice, but substandard compared to what my clients were used to and substandard to what we were going to produce at Personal Edge. And 38 of my 42 clients walked into that substandard facility with me, stayed with me 9 months until we opened Personal Edge. So I found out what relationship means, what relationship between a client and a trainer means. And so if you've done personal training before and you've developed a relationship with a trainer, it may be far-fetched for you to believe that this approach of multiple trainers would actually work. In fact, I'm sure that you may be saying to yourselves, well, yes, that might work for other people, but me and my trainer, no way I would work with anybody else. I promise you the benefits of that and the relationship that you develop with the multiple staff members is far more not only beneficial, but far more enjoyable and a far better culture to work in. And let me show you why. First and foremost, let's talk about the nuts and bolts of what we do. Let's talk about the physiology, the anatomy, the exercise science of what we do. Different experiences shape different training methods. Now, of course, I mean, if I've got a trainer that's been through a collegiate strength situation, and he's worked with all kinds of athletes and what have you. Well, that background, that passion, along with the expertise that we require here at Personal Edge Fitness, that is going to create a trainer that's going to be fantastic at working with developing high school athletes to possibly reach the collegiate level. They've been at the collegiate level. They saw what the athletes can expect at that level. So, of course, that kind of experience is going to help shape not only the exercise programming, but also getting the mindset ready in that athlete to go to the next level. He may have, or she may have, that same expertise that another trainer has as far as education, understanding the muscles, understanding the exercises that athlete needs to do. But those experiences, of course, of being in the college setting would help get that athlete ready for that next level far better than somebody that just had the knowledge of the exercises themselves. This is not a foreign concept, I'm sure. I have a lot of people contact us because I have athletes on my staff. And, of course, they contact, that person was an athlete. I want them to work with my athlete. Of course, you understand that. But what if you've got a situation where you've got an athlete that, yes, they're handling that, but they're also battling a problem with maybe an eating disorder or maybe they're battling obesity, or maybe they have challenges as far as rehabilitation is concerned. Well, you've got one trainer that can handle the strength, getting them ready for that next level as far as athletics concerned. You've got another trainer that may have expertise in one of the other afflictions or one of the other challenges that the athlete has. And so in working with the two of them, and also those two trainers talking together, they can develop that athlete far better. There's also different passions. This may surprise you. There's something I say to almost every client when I conduct an initial session, and that is that if a trainer tells you they don't have a favorite body part to work, they don't have a favorite exercise, or they don't have a favorite possible machine, or well, that goes along with exercise, but sometimes it's a favorite like dumbbells versus free weights, or a machine itself. If they tell you they don't have favorites, they're lying to you. I'm sorry. I've been in the business for 31 years, and every single trainer that I've ever worked with, that I've ever had come in contact with, we have our passions. We have things that we really enjoy doing, and those trainers that deny that, really, I do question whether or not they have their client's best interest in mind. Let's put it that way. All of our trainers can train any of our staff, any of our clients, but we all have our own passions. And what's great about having such a fantastic and diverse staff is that all of us get to work towards our passions. And a trainer that is passionate about an exercise, about a particular body part, about a particular way of training, if they have a client that likes that type and that modality and that, or has that need, believe me, they're going to be better served by the trainer that has that passion. Now, we don't work just one part of the body. We work full body on every single one of our clients. So if I have somebody that comes in and they've got need for hip mobility, and then I'm gonna make sure they're spending time with a trainer that has passion in that area, but they may be a swimmer and so they need back development. Well, I'm gonna put them with a trainer that has that type of passion. And they may work one day with one of the trainers and 2 days with the other trainer, depending on their need. But because we have that expertise on the staff, and because we don't have that kind of ego, and again, there's your Wonder Twin powers activated here. We get to use the strengths of those two trainers and those two passions. Also, more into the nuts and bolts, we have people come to us with strong rehab concerns. I mean, they come to us post-rehab. Whether it's orthopedic, cardiac rehab, or stroke rehab, doesn't matter. So a lot of people come to us, and that's their main drive for being here, is to try to come back from an injury, come back from some sort of affliction. At the same time, we have probably the vast majority of our clients. There was one period in a July that we signed over 20 clients. And in that July, of the 20 clients that we signed, 17 of the 20 had some pre-existing condition. Some noteworthy, we need to be mindful of this, we need to work with this pre-existing condition. Well, in those cases, it's wonderful that we have rehab specialists on staff. When I talk about rehab specialists, I don't talk about people that have a weekend certification in rehab. I'm saying that we're one of the first facilities to hire athletic trainers and that have a sport medicine background. And then we hire them as trainers here at Personal Edge. And they are involved in making sure they help develop all the protocols of anyone that has a rehab focus or rehab need here at Personal Edge. And in many cases, they actually do some of the training themselves. They may be the lead trainer in working with the client. We compare that with our exercise specialists, our exercise scientists. Our exercise scientists are mostly focused on, yes, some rehab, some post-rehab, but basically getting people either stronger, faster, helping them lose weight, mostly exercise-based goals. So in that situation, when a client comes and sees us, they may be coming to see us with the pre-existing condition, but they're not here because of that affliction. They're not here strictly rehab focused. That just happens to be something on the side. Their goals happen to be exercise based. Well, working with the approach of multiple trainers, they can have the rehab experience still doing exercise with a rehab specialist, whether that particular individual just designs their protocol or is actually involved in their training, but at the same time can spend a majority of their time working with an exercise scientist since their goals are exercise based. If we were just limited to the rehab specialist, we may not meet the exercise goals. and vice versa, of course, if we were focused with the exercise scientist. To me, the most important reason that we have that, and the nuts and bolts are extremely important, don't get me wrong, but I think this is the most important reason that we have this type of culture here at Personal Edge, is because of personalities. Remember what I said earlier, I am very familiar with the value of the relationship between a trainer and a client. Somebody that's motivating you, somebody that's actually a good friend, somebody that's spending regular time with you every single week, that in many cases they act as somewhat of a counselor. I understand how important that relationship is. And no matter how good a trainer is, or what kind of experience they have, or what they even profess to be able to do, no trainer is perfect for every person. And many times the only way you can find that out is if they get a chance to have an experience with another trainer. We see this a lot when we have clients come in and say, look, I know all about what you do because I've worked with a trainer before. And though we may try to explain to them, look, I promise you don't, they see after spending time with us, now they've had an experience with a different trainer. They've had a different experience, and they get to understand, okay, wait a second, that one person wasn't the only way to do this. We get that benefit inside the facility. They get a chance to work with more than one instructor, more than one exercise physiologist and or rehab individual, and they get that experience, and then many times they will tell us, well, it's not that often actually, but it has happened. It's happened to every single one of my staff members when they have a trainer speak to their director and say, I kind of want to change. And that's nothing against my staff member. That's nothing against the client. Sometimes people mix like oil and water. Sometimes there is just not a good fit. The personalities don't mix. They're both nice. They like each other, but they just don't mesh well together. When that happens, every client at Personal Edge knows if they want to change trainers, they simply speak to their director and we'll make it happen. That's very important to us. And the neat thing about it, about going back to the fact that we have no egos, we don't have that competitive nature here, the trainer's not offended in any way, shape, or form. One of the best situations we ever had is that client was working with a trainer and actually told that trainer, I'd rather not work with you. I'd rather work with somebody else. And that trainer set them up on the schedule with another trainer. And then 2 weeks later was still checking on them to make sure everything was going okay. And that trainer and that client are still client and trainer with us to this day. We also have a unique approach in that we have different levels. We realize that somebody coming fresh out of school with some fantastic new ideas, we want those new ideas. We want those new, different ways of training a client, different exercises, and also just that different passion. We love having that on staff. And as Deanne DeMarco told us in my Vistage meeting, who is an expert on generations, talked about the fact that if you don't have millennials involved in your decision making and finding new ways to do things, then you're really hurting your business. So of course we want that influence at Personal Edge. At the same time, we understand the need for a client to deal with a trainer that's had a lot of experience, that's been a trainer for several years. And so at Personal Edge Fitness, we have actually different levels of staff members. And we have found that our new exercise specialist, which is the position that a trainer starts in at Personal Edge Fitness, our new exercise specialist, we want them focused on those new exercises. We want them focused on bringing a new approach to running a protocol. And when I say a protocol, when we have somebody sit down and actually talk to one of our staff members and about getting started here at Personal Edge, we ask them, what are your goals? What are you interested in doing? What are your experiences? How do you like to train? What is the reason for you being here, and how can we best approach it? And then we take that information and we set up what we call a protocol. Okay, this is how we're going to approach working with this client. This is who's going to work with them. These are the days they're going to be here, the times they're going to be here, and these are the things that we're going to avoid. And we're going to look for avenues to train them. They like to circuit. They like to do more static training, what have you. But this is the way we're going to approach this. And then we monitor that protocol. Setting up a protocol takes experience. Because as much as you're working with X's and O's of exercise, you're also working with personalities. You're also working with a mindset. You're also working with a lifestyle. You're working with a schedule. You're working with their influences, how they have been influenced by members of their family, by their friends. What's their work-life balance? What are the other reasons they may be here? It may be a stress relief situation. They may be dealing with some certain challenges that an experienced director, and that's the position here at Personal Edge, will understand. And so that director puts together that protocol and actually does some of the training with the client. But at the same time, because they're spending so much time putting that protocol together and understanding all of that, they may not be up to date on the most current exercises, which is why we have the trainers, the exercise specialists that worked in tandem with the director. It also helps develop our exercise specialists to move to that next level, to go to trainer and then assistant director and director. I've had experience with talking to individuals in the business. They're in other areas. I go to ACSM convention. I'm in a few different groups and with the club industry, and also just in traveling. When I travel, I visit some different fitness facilities, and I've seen both. I've seen situations where current clients, current staff members that have a facility don't want to bring in any new people. They don't want them coming in. They don't want their new ideas. They're not interested in upsetting the cart. Let's put it that way. And I've also seen facilities that lack the experience, and so therefore they're trying to reinvent the wheel about personal training and don't understand that, hey, there's some tried and true methods that all of us have adopted that work, but because they have too much new influence, they can't grow from there. Many of those places don't survive. I'm so glad that we're able to have both here at Personal Edge. When I was starting out, I wanted that kind of influence. I wanted that kind of mentoring like we have with our directors. And now we have that here, and it produces a very, very happy culture and a much more healthier culture for people reaching their fitness goals. Listen, if we can help you with this and we can help you set up and design a program, or if you'd like to learn more about the multi-trainer approach, please contact us at Personal Edge Fitness, either at our website, personaledgefitness.com, on our Facebook page, Personal Edge Fitness. You're welcome to reach out to me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. Call us at our Mobile location, 251-341-0927, or, of course, on the Eastern Shore, give Josh a call at 251-651-0927. The team approach, yet another way we help you reach your level of wellness.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.